Welcome to another episode of MrLopezClasses.com. This is our diesel course. This is the chapter 6. In this chapter we are going to talk about the camshaft and the timing position. This is an important element, important factor in order to start the engine in the appropriate moment according with the timing position. The timing position, of course, depends on the position of the camshaft, and if the engine is mechanical fuel injection, depends also of the position of the fuel injection pump. Okay, right now we are going to start to talk about the camshaft, and we are going to verify the characteristics of the camshaft specific for diesel engines. The camshaft, a simple definition for camshaft is an apparatus used to operate the valves. Of course, the valves open and close because the camshaft is in constant rotation. One important thing before we continue is you remember how many times the crankshaft rotates in one complete cycle, intake, compression, power and exhaust? 2 times. No? And the camshaft, per each 2 rotations of the crankshaft, the camshaft rotates 1 time. Per each 2 rotations of the camshaft rotates 1 time. In that case, what do you think about the diameter of the gear of the crankshaft and the diameter of the gear of the camshaft? Which is bigger? The gear of the cam or the gear of the crank? The crank rotates 2 times than the cam. Yes, the diameter of the gear of the cam is twice in comparison with the diameter of the gear of the crank, like the picture that you have on the screen right now. Yeah, this is normally the ratio, yeah, because one rotates 2 times in comparison to the other one time. In order to equilibrate that equation, the diameter of the cam should be double to compensate the double rotation of the crankshaft. Okay? Yeah, this is important that you keep in mind. The diameter of the camshaft is bigger than the diameter of the gear of the camshaft is bigger than the diameter of the gear of the crankshaft. All right. Important. This is very important, and don't forget the crankshaft rotates 2 times and the camshaft 1 time. And yes, the camshaft, because the lobes that you have on the screen, those lobes in contact with the rocker arm, in contact with the lifters, and the lifter with the push rods, and the push rod with the rocker arms, and the rocker arms press and compress the spring, and the valve open and close. It's a simple schematic. For that reason, the material of the camshaft should be a hard material with a specific heat treatment. The heat treatment of the material of the camshaft is a special heat treatment, especially in the surface of the lobes. Camshafts can be made of a different type of materials. Chill iron, and the other one is billet steel. This is the material used for the camshafts in marine application. The camshaft for turbo and supercharged diesel engines, because this is a high quality camshaft, because those camshafts, they need hard surface on the lobes of the camshaft. The material is a billet steel. And let me explain something about the position of the crankshaft, the camshaft, and the fuel injection pump. In order to put the engine on time, you remember what is the moment where it's supposed that the engine is on time? Is when the piston, just before the piston finishes the compression stroke and both valves are closed. In that moment, it's supposed that the injector open and inject the fuel. in order to locate that position, end of the compression stroke and both valves close, the gear of the crankshaft and the gear of the camshaft, they have different marks, like the marks that you can see on the screen on those gears. They have marks on the gear of the crank and marks on the gear of the cam, and both marks should be aligned. In the moment that both marks are aligned, the piston number 1 is on top the center and both valves are closed. This is exactly the timing procedure. And if the engine is on time, those marks are aligned. This picture that you have on the screen is for a gasoline engine. What is the difference with the diesel engine? In the diesel engine, if the injector and the mechanical and the fuel injection pumps are mechanicals, no electronics, no electricals, mechanicals, only for high pressure of the fuel. If the engine use mechanical fuel injection, the gear of the fuel injection pump should be aligned with the gear of the crank and the gear of the cam, like the picture that you have on the screen right now. Those 3 gears should be aligned in order to put the engine on time. In what moment? When the piston number 1 is in top the center with both valves closed. Alright. In other words, in order to put a gasoline engine on time, I only need align the gear of the crankshaft with the gear of the camshaft. As you can see on the picture, both gears are connected in the majority of the gasoline engines for timing belt or a timing gear, like this example. This is in gasoline engines because you only need align two gears. Alright, in diesel engines you need align 3 elements: the camshaft, the crankshaft, and the fuel injection pump. Those 3 elements should be aligned at the same time. For that reason, in diesel engines, the contact between the gears is not by means of the timing chain or timing belt. It's gear with gear, direct contact. In this particular example, the example that you have on the screen right now, there are other additional gears. The other gear over there is the gear of the oil pump. The other gear in the middle, I call that gear the crazy gear because it's free, it's spinning free. It's not driving nothing. Yeah? And the other one, the other gear, is for the raw water pump. Of course, those gears, the gear of the raw water pump, the gear of the oil pump, and the crazy gear, they don't need to be aligned. The only gear that should be aligned with some specific marks are the gear of the crank, the gear of the cam, and the gear of the fuel injection pump. Those gears should be aligned properly depending on the manufacturer. Some manufacturers recommend align those marks with reference on the block of the engine, like the picture that you have on the screen right now. Each manufacturer have a different marks, different reference to align those 3 marks. In some engines, those 3 marks should be concentric, aligned one with the other one, depend of the manufacturer. For that reason, once again, what is the first step to put the engine on time? Open the service manual. You don't have the service manual, don't try to touch those elements. Now, because a friend of mine said, no, my friend, you need the service manual and you need that specific picture, the picture of the timing position. If you don't have the picture of the timing position, don't try to remove the camshaft, don't try to repair, don't try to calibrate the last valve. You remember? If you don't have the service manual, don't try to touch those elements. Let me explain something. In a gasoline engine, it's possible to start the engine with the timing a little moved, not exactly in the position. In gasoline, yes. And what happened? The engine start with misfiring, with explosions, with flames, with detonations, but the engine start. In diesel engines, it's possible to start the engine if one of those marks is moved a little, 1 degree. It's not possible. The diesel engine starts only in the perfect position of the timing. If not, it's not possible. Yeah? The diesel engines require too much precision, too much calibration. For that reason, you need the manual, and you need to follow the steps recommended in the manual in order to obtain the zero position, the timing position. All right? This is very important. If you don't have the service manual, don't try to touch the engine. If you don't have the specific picture related with the timing, don't try to touch that engine. Yes, it's very important that you try to get access to a good web page dedicated to supply service manual for different engines, diesel engines, for generators, main engines. This is very important. If you are dedicated to work with diesel engines, you need a subscription in a good web page dedicated exclusive for a service manual for diesel engines. That's mandatory. It's necessary. All right. Okay. In this episode, we are going to learn the procedure to put the engine on time, and we are going to learn both procedures. The procedure to put on time the gasoline engine, the common inboard 350 Mercruiser, and we are going to learn the procedure to put on time a diesel engine. And we are going to check the difference and the different tools used in both cases in order to put the engine on time. Yes, this is a picture that I have here. This is the fuel injection pump. That's the fuel injection pump. And this is the gear of the crankshaft, the gear of the camshaft, and the gear of the fuel injection pump. And all of them are aligned with the marks. The mark should be aligned in order to put the engine on time. I have another picture here. It's exactly the same. You have those three gears, and those three gears should be aligned in order to put the engine, because this is a mechanical fuel injection pump. Or if my diesel engine is with electronic fuel injection pump, if it's electronic, you don't need to align the gear of the fuel injection pump. The fuel injection pump can be located in any moment, no problem. What happened in this engine with mechanical fuel injection pump when I need to remove the fuel injection pump for service? This is very, very, very good question. If you have a diesel engine with mechanical injection and you need to remove the fuel injection pump for service because you are doing the 1000 hour service or the service required, and if you check the manual, in that service you need calibrate injectors and calibrate fuel injection pump. In other words, you need to remove the injectors and you need to remove the fuel injection pump. $1 million question. You have the tools to remove the injectors? If you don't have the tools, don't try to remove the injectors. Alright, that's very important. And second question, you know the procedure to remove the fuel injection pump? No. I don't know, but I am going to remove the gear. No. If you don't know the procedure to remove the fuel injection pump, don't touch the fuel injection pump. The fuel injection pump is critical, and you need to be careful when you try to remove the fuel injection pump. In general terms, if you want to remove the fuel injection pump, my recommendation, if you don't have the manual, is put the engine in zero position, the timing position. And in that position, remove the fuel injection pump. and send the fuel injection pump to the machine shop in order to be calibrated, and explain to the guys on the machine shop that you remove the fuel injection pump at 0, where the timing is 0. Why? In order that they return the fuel injection pump exactly in the same position. When you put in back the fuel injection pump, you don't have any problem. I recommend always remove the fuel injection pump in 0, in the position where the marks are aligned according with the manual, according with the service manual. Yeah, each manufacturer have different marks according with the manual. Okay, this is my recommendation. Be careful with that. All right, we are going to check. We are going to continue with the topic of this video. The topic of this video is about the camshaft, and we are going to check the lobes of the camshaft because they have a special shape. No, you remember the shape of the lobes? It's like this, and we are going to check what is the meaning of each part of the lobes. Look, the base, the number 1, is the base of the circle. Okay, those lines here are the rams, and this is the nose. This is the nose. This is the nose. The number 3 is the nose of the lobe. Those are the components of the lobes. And now we are going to check what happens if the nose is pointed, or if the nose is rounded, or if the nose is flat. How those shapes affect the performance of the engine. For example, we are going to check the picture number 1. The nose is like a point. What happened with that shape, with the shape of the number 1? Probably the valves open too fast. Exactly the same like with the number 3. They are pretty similar, number 1 and number 3. The valves open too fast and close too fast. Quick open and close. And let me check the other one. For example, number 2, the valves open in a long period of time. The valves stay open for a long period of time. What happened in the shape number 4? The valves close slow, take too much time to close. Yeah, for that reason, you need to keep the shape of the lobes originals according with the manufacturer specifications. Yeah. Suddenly your engine is too lean, and you check the condition of the injector, you check the condition of the fuel injection pump, everything is okay, but the engine is running lean. What is the symptom when the engine is running lean? The temperature in the combustion chamber increase. The engine is running with excessive temperatures. When you check the valves, if you introduce the boroscope, this is an important tool that I recommend keeping in your minivan, in your toolbox, is the boroscope. The boroscope is a camera. It's a camera like you have on the screen right now. This camera. I recommend try to buy a camera like this. The new cameras, they have a Bluetooth connection, and you can take the picture internally in the combustion chamber and send the picture to the customer about the situation in that particular cylinder. Suppose that you are running the engine too lean with excessive temperature in the combustion chamber. There are catastrophic consequences. For example, the nozzle of the injector can be completely destroyed, like the picture that you have on the screen right now. Or suddenly one of the valves can be melted for excessive temperatures, or the face of the piston can be affected. Yeah, and of course you have detonations, you have a misfiring, and you have a code, check engine light code, and when you connect the scanner, they say high head temperature. No, We are going to study later how to do the diagnosis in that specific case. Yeah, and for that reason, if and what is the problem? The problem is that the camshaft, the lows on the camshaft are wear. Probably you need to remove the camshaft and replace the camshaft for a new one, and investigate why the metal on the camshaft was affected. Probably in the last rebuild 6 months ago, the technician installed, or the company installed, an aftermarket camshaft. The camshaft is not originally, and the aftermarket camshaft have a bad heat treatment, and this is the reason. The material is a bad quality. For that reason, it's wear, and right now the lows are completely flat, and the valves stay too much time open or too much time closed, and this is the consequence. All right, this is very important. And also, in some cases, you need to replace the camshaft for other camshaft with more point at the end of the lows. You need, in other words, that the valves open and close quickly. Why? Because you want to install an additional supercharger or turbocharger. Yeah. In that case, you need to replace the camshaft for another camshaft with different shape on the lows. Yeah. Normally, the company dedicated to upgrade engines with turbochargers or superchargers, they calculate the turbocharger or supercharger, and they recommend to use also replace the camshaft for another one for high performance. We are going to study later in the chapter dedicated to superchargers and turbochargers that specific situation. Okay, the camshaft is critical, and we are going to study later the consequence when the camshaft is damaged or the camshaft is wear. Okay, other important thing that I want to mention is what elements work together, what other equipment elements work together with the camshaft. Okay, the first partner of the camshaft is the crankshaft. The camshaft and the crankshaft, they work together. And normally the camshaft move the fuel injection pump. In a gasoline engine, the camshaft engage with the crankshaft by means of the timing belt or timing chain, like the picture that you have on the screen right now. And the camshaft in the middle, in between the lows, have a gear, and that gear engage with a gear on the shaft of the distributor. And additionally, the shaft of the distributor have a groove where the oil pump engage. In other words, in a gasoline engine, like the picture that you have on the screen, the oil pump, the shaft of the oil pump, engage with the shaft of the distributor and engage with the camshaft. Three elements work together: camshaft, distributor, and oil pump. In a gasoline engine, the element that distributes the current is the distributor. The spark in the cylinders is produced because the distributor with the rotor internally sends the spark to each spark plug. In a diesel engine, the engine ignites the combustion chamber because the injector open and inject the fuel. Each injector in a diesel engine with mechanical fuel injection pump open when the fuel injection pump sends the pressure to each injector according with the rotation of the fuel injection pump. In other words, the function of the fuel injection pump and the function of the distributor is basically the same. The distributor in gasoline engines and the fuel injection pump in diesel engines. Both of them have parallel functions. The distributor in gasoline engines and the rotary fuel injection pump in diesel engines. They have the same function. They control the explosion on the cylinders. Okay? All right. And it's very important that you keep in mind that the gear of the crankshaft, the gear of the camshaft, and the gear of the fuel injection pump work together in a diesel engine. Exactly the same like in gasoline. In gasoline, like this example, I have the distributor engaged with the crankshaft and engaged with the oil pump. This is the oil pump, the distributor, and the camshaft. Now I am going to explain the procedure to remove the camshaft and the procedure to install the camshaft again. The procedure is the same for both engines, gas and diesel. And I am going to explain the procedure slowly, step by step, in order to do that process properly in diesel engines or gas engines in board. The first step is remove the timing cover. Remove the timing cover. Be careful with the bolts. Prepare your plastic ziplock in order to keep all the bolts marked for the timing cover. Remove the timing cover. Be careful with the gasket in between the timing cover and the block. Try to keep the gasket in a flat surface. And now we are going to bring the engine to top dead center with the time aligned, with the marks of the timing aligned. I love bring the engine all the time to top dead center, piston number 1, with the time aligned. In this particular case, the marks are not aligned. The mark of the crankshaft and the camshaft are not aligned. However, the piston is in top dead center. This is because it's the end of the exhaust stroke. I am going to bring the piston to top dead center again with both marks aligned at the end of compression stroke. Alright, and right now both marks are properly aligned, and once again the piston is in top dead center. This is exactly the position. This is exactly the position, and right now we are ready to remove the camshaft properly. Okay, this is exactly the position in order to remove the camshaft. Okay, we are going to remove the bolts of the gear of the camshaft, and now we can remove the gear carefully. In this particular case, the gas engine, we are going to separate the timing chain, and now we have access to the flange. The flange is a special plate used to keep the camshaft in the position against the block. Right now we remove the flange, and now the camshaft is ready. The camshaft is ready. We are going to put provisionally the gear in order to remove the gear with both hands using the gear. Before we are going to remove the camshaft, we are going to remove the lifters. The hydraulic lifters. This is the bracket for the first 4 lifters. One of the lifters stay on place. We are going to use the tool in order to remove the other lifters. Perfect. Those are the lifters of one bank. And now we are going to remove the lifters of the second bank. Be careful. This is each group of lifters have one bracket, plastic bracket. Okay, you remove carefully the lifter. Those are the lifters, hydraulic lifters. Those are the rollers in permanent contact with the loads of the camshaft. Alright, the group number 1. And now we are going to remove the second group of lifters of the bank number 2. I prefer putting back the bolts in order to avoid lose the bolts. And now I remove the second group of lifters. That's perfect. Okay. And I put back the bolt in order to avoid lose the bolt. And right now I am ready to remove the camshaft carefully with both hands. One person. Never try to work 2 people at the same time, because the second person can damage your fingers. One person carefully. Be careful with the bearings. The main journals carefully with the plain bearings on the block. Those are the plain bearings over there. Be careful with those bearings. Exactly, carefully. One person with both hands. Careful with the bearings. And this is the camshaft. This is the camshaft. The camshaft is composed for, in this particular case, for the main journals, the main journals, and the same, those are the plain bearings that received the journals, the main journals. Alright, those are plain bearings embedded in soft metal. Each of these have one bearing inside of the block. Each of these one bearing inside of the block. Alright? Now, I am going to explain the procedure to install the camshaft on the engine. We are going to follow the procedure step by step. The first step is apply grease on the journals. Apply grease on the journals of the first step is apply grease on the journals, carefully grease on the main journals. This is very, very important. Apply the grease on the main journals in order to protect the bearings, the plain bearings located in the block. Those plain bearings are embedded in white metal or soft metal, exactly the metal used for the bearings of the connecting rods on the crankshaft, the same material, and you need to introduce the camshaft carefully, one person. Never try to help other person inside because it is dangerous. Never try to introduce any type of wood or metal inside of the block in order to help. One person, only one person in this procedure. Okay, with both hands you introduce the first journal, you pass the first journal carefully, and now the second one. When the second one is entering, the first one is entering in the next journal. Now number 3, exactly, number 4, and in the last one we are going to let the camshaft a little out before we introduce the camshaft completely in order to prepare the position in between both gears, the gear of the camshaft with the gear of the crankshaft. Okay, we are going to try to align both gears exactly, and in that moment you introduce a little more the camshaft, you enter the last journal, and right now you are ready to prepare exactly the chain. And now you put the bolts, and when you fix the bolts, you are ready to put them back the lifters, and when the lifters are ready, you can install the head gasket and the head.